Series about car security systems. Today we're going to be taking a look at a new immobilizer from StarLine, the i96 CAN. The owner is authorized with a compact waterproof wireless tag or with a smartphone fitted with Bluetooth smart technology and the StarLine mobile app. You can also set up a secret code using the standard buttons inside your car. If you've left your phone and tag at home or they've been stolen, your car's still secure and you can get it started using the secret code. The 2CAN interface gives you fast and easy installation in modern cars and visible engine blocking through the digital bus with the StarLine iCAN technology. If your deal doesn't allow intrusion in the car's onboard network with engine control circuit cutting, anti-theft protection with hidden intelligent iCAN technology is the perfect choice for you. Additional analog engine blocking, either by the car's standard relay unit or by the StarLine R4 or R6 units, gives an extra level of protection against theft. In addition, the digital unit, the StarLine R4, or the wireless unit, the StarLine R6, allows you to control the electric hood lock if it's installed in your car. Car security experts are aware of CAN vulnerability in some cars. Now, the StarLine i96 CAN immobilizer allows you to protect the CAN bus in an easily accessible diagnostic OBD socket from attempts to make CAN bus pins short circuit and therefore damage the CAN network and disable the hidden engine blocking. Recently, many cars have been fitted with popular keyless access and start and stop options. They're convenient, but they have a major drawback. Someone standing by you can pick up the signal and retransmit it to an accomplice by your car. He can then get in and steal that car. The StarLine i96 CAN has unique protection against this. In the armed mode, the immobilizer blocks the standard keyless transceiver when the registered smartphone is out of sight of the central block. The retransmitter won't work. And finally, with the Super Slave option, the i96 CAN can control your central locking system and the standard alarm system fitted in your car. You just walk away with your wireless tag or with your telephone with the StarLine app in it, and it will lock the car and arm the alarm system. So, if you want to carry on using your familiar and convenient key and you want extra protection, then the i96 CAN immobilizer from StarLine is the option for you.
Hello, dear guests. We need to wait. Dmitry is connecting. Okay, one moment. Dmitry will refresh his page. Hello, Dmitry.
Hello, Dmitry. Hello, all the other guests. Nice to meet you all here at our next StarLine e-learning webinar. Hope you're all in good health and in good mood in the present situation. And now, today we continue with our lessons. The topic of our today meeting will be configuration in StarLine Master and especially in engine blocking settings. Let's check the quality of our video and sound. Please type plus if you can see and hear us well. Please type plus.
1 2 1 2 sound check.
Okay, I think everything is good. Well, just a moment. Okay, before we drop deep inside of engine blocking settings in StarLine Master configuration, let me begin with some so-named theory. let's talk about the main logics of StarLine security systems, because we think it's necessary to understand it before you make any specific settings, you make particular installation and some individual projects. Here let me show you this small diagram. It's a really brief review of StarLine alarm systems operating logic. Believe me, it's a really short review, because to show it in a detailed view, it will take dozens of pages and pictures. So it's just a short view, and it will be useful for you just to understand the main processes, the main modes which are happening in our systems. Let's begin with the ARM mode. By the way, you can see several basic modes which are shown as which are armed, disarmed, authorization, immobilizer. Let's begin with the security mode named as armed here. So when system is in security mode, it monitors the main statuses of a car, the main settings which are preset in itself, and waiting for the comments from the owner. If something happens, some intruder wants to go into a vehicle, do something to steal it, so the system detects triggering of some secured zone and immediately comes to alarm. Please remember that in alarm mode, both notification of owner and engine blocking start immediately. So please keep in mind that engine blocking is not engaged just in armed, just when the system comes into alarm, so the engine blocking is activated right at this moment. It's quite an important point. Well, if everything is in normal operation, the system receives a command from owner for disarming. Doesn't matter from factory remote key in slave mode, or from StarLine remote, or tag, or command from app, or StarLine Online desktop web version. So then it checks some settings which you made while installation. It checks if authorization is enabled. If no any authorization is set up, so it comes to disarm directly. Here will be the most simple way and the less secured way. Please remember about that. If authorization is enabled in settings, so the system comes into authorization mode. So it checks availability of a tag or smartphone, correct PIN code entering, and so on. Maybe remote page. So when everything is okay, authorization is passed. So the system checks another way of security, immobilizer mode. So if immobilizer mode is not set, is disabled, so the system comes to disarmed. Well, if authorization is not passed, the system also comes to alarm and engages engine blocking. But if the next step, immobilizer, is activated, so the system comes to immobilizer mode and requires additional authorization to let the engine start. or not only start and maybe enable driving in case of particular specific engine blocking is activated. So if authorization in the mobilizer mode is passed, it's okay, it's disarmed again. Let's say it again, because the main security is already disabled, but immobilizer mode is disabled and at the next step. But in case of immobilizer authentication is not passed, it's failed, so the system again comes to engine blocking and do not allow to start engine or to proceed with driving. Well, so remember that especially for immobilizer mode, it's some kind of additional security level and some kind of some independent level of security which runs even when security is off, when system is disarmed. So main secured zones are disarmed, already not controlled, but engine is still locked. Please keep in mind this important moment. Well, and we have some so-named sub-modes. Let's begin with anti-hijack. It's a kind of specific mode. Actually, it may run in any of these modes, both in armed mode and disarmed mode. It's activated with the special settings configured in StarLine Master, or it may be also activated with the command of an owner. So when please note the moment. First, this mode anti-hijack should be activated, just enabled. Then, in this mode, for example, it may activate it with StarLine Bluetooth tag or with a command from GSM, and then the system waits for a particular event. Then engine blocking will be activated only in case of door is open, the registered tag is away, is lost, and some preset event such as like speed, distance, or time period will happen. So only after that engine will be blocked. So it won't be activated just on the moment of this mode of turning to this mode. So please do not forget about that. And a couple of sub-modes on the left are service mode and configuration. Service mode, it's quite an important and useful mode in which the main security functions are disabled. So no any zones are controlled, no any circuits, engine are not protected. But at the same time, you cannot connect to the system and make any configuration, change any settings and configuration. And you cannot register any tags, smartphones, any PIN codes. So it's very important to turn to the service mode when you bring a car to any regular maintenance, car wash, and so on. Well, and configuration. It's a sub-mode when you, in fact, you make settings, make some configuration, and so on. This mode is secured with only a service code which is printed on the plastic card. So always advise your clients, just remind them to keep their plastic service card, or just store this information, just copy and save it in any smartphone anywhere. Just do not lose these codes. It's very important. Well, let's now talk about some simplified levels of security. Let's begin with the first, very simple, when the system just armed and then disarmed. In fact, most of factory security systems will look like this, just armed and disarmed. And any authorization they provide is very simple and easily can be intercepted, hacked, and in fact be deactivated. So we would advise to use the next 2, 3, and 4th levels. Another one has additional authorization with a PIN code, with a tag, smartphone, and so on. What it brings to a client? It's additional secondary authentication, additional level of security. For example, why we name our slave mode as super slave. So when, for example, if you use the third or the first simple mode, we can use the StarLine alarm, for example, in simple slave mode when it follows the state of a factory alarm, with no activating any authorization. So if factory alarm is disarmed, hacked, deactivated, so StarLine will go and will be disarmed the same as the factory alarm. It's not secured. So we always recommend to make use of authorization mode. We just talked about that on the previous picture. Another level, a more effective level, will use an immobilizer mode. We also described it before. It's another level of security. It could be an embedded immobilizer mode of an alarm system. It could be just independent auxiliary device like external immobilizer, external relay model, which is controlled with the main unit. But anyway, it enhances your security, your protection from theft. First of all, it's a protection from theft. Well, and the most reliable way would be with use of a hood lock. Hood lock needs to limit an access of a thief into engine compartment. We limit his access to the main battery because first he wants to do is to disconnect the main power and to disable the main security unit. But next step, if a client, if fitter installed any additional relay units for engine blocking, he will need some time and opportunity to find it in the engine compartment. So he needs to come inside under the hood. That's why we need to protect this place. That will be the most reliable way to protect from the theft, to prolong a period which intruder needs to find all the secured circuits. So it enhances your security and makes your protection the most reliable. And now on this picture, let's speak briefly about the main ways of engine blocking. Let's divide it on analog engine blocking and digital engine blocking. Of course, you all know the difference between that. Analog, it's interruption of any engine control circuits, and the digital, it's a new modern way of security. It's engine blocking via digital CAN or LIN bus. So we can see some difference in which modes this blocking is activated in StarLine alarm systems. You may see that analog blocking, for example, is active in alarm mode, but our ICANN digital engine blocking could be active in both alarm, authorization, and immobilizer mode. My colleague Dmitry will describe it more narrowly just a bit later. And it's below is just a brief list of circuits, of methods of engine blocking, which is used with the both ways. I forgot to say that we also divide engine blocking to the start lock and engine stop. Start lock means that we do not allow engine to start. It's simple. And engine stop means that we protect from driving. We do not allow to begin trip and to move a car somewhere. Of course, we can see, you all understand that start lock is a more simple way of engine blocking, and engine stop is more reliable. Why we talk about this? Why we talk like this? Because regularly start lock is more simple, and it provides some, let's say, provides some additional opportunity, additional time for a thief, for example, at the parking, to find a particular circuit which is interrupted. So when a vehicle is in parking, he has some time to study, to find the blocking and disable it. But when we perform engine stop blocking, so a thief, an intruder, thinks that everything is okay. He started engine, begins driving, and engine is stopped. So he has very short time to understand what has happened, to find a reason, to find the interrupted circuit. That is why engine stop, let's say it run lock, if I tell it correct, is much more secured, much more safe. Well, and you can see some list of circuits which may be interrupted. Actually, most of you know these ways, know these methods, and what exactly I want to say you. The most reliable way is to combine, to make the both of these ways of engine blocking, because it will extend the time to find the engine trouble, to find the particular locked circuit, and it will this will enhance your protection, and it will make an opportunity to steal your car very limited. For example, let's say about ICANN. Of course, it's quite a popular option at the moment. It's very popular in Europe and in other regions because it's easy to perform, it's easy to configure, very quick to install, but at the same time it's quite an easy to disable. Most of you know some very simple or maybe very complicated or let's say it's hacking methods of disabling of ICANN, but anyway it's in most cases it's quite an easy and it's possible. So we always recommend to perform the both ways of engine blocking, both analog and digital. And about the main principles of both methods. When we say about digital engine blocking, also most of you know, we just using some diagnostics commands which makes engine stop or do not allow to start. Actually, we simulate regular troubles, regular errors in cars. So it's as I said before, it's quite an easy to perform, but in fact it's quite an easy to disable and find this trouble. Just to connect some scanners or OBD analyzers to find the trouble and disable this blocking. Or in some time, for example, at previous Toyota Land Cruiser, it's just enough to make a short circuit in a CAN bus. So please be noted about this, and keep in mind when you talk to the client, when he requires the most protection, the most possible protection, but with less money in the most quick way, and so on. It's always a matter of time, a matter of money, and a matter of level of protection. So, well, I think it's enough with the theory, and now I can give a word to my colleague, Dmitry Tanayan. Dima, please continue with the StarLine Master and the engine blocking configuration.
Thank you, Dmitry. Please disable your presentation. I will share my screen to our dear guests. Moment, share my screen, and here we go. StarLine Master, our favorite E96. Let's go to setup. Service code from red plastic card. 3657 confirm. Okay. Factory settings one more time. Maybe I've changed something. Let's choose a car. For example, let's use again Toyota Camry. I like this car, so that is why we will try to use it. Camry. A new one. XV70. Here we have at can.starline.ru. For this car, we have stop running engine icon supported, block engine start icon supported, keyless entry system lock supported, and automatic transmission lock is not supported for this car. It's a new option which will we will increase the list of cars. It will take some time. So we choose Toyota Camry. Let's go to engine blocking and status output. Moment, let's save to device and restart the system to apply the firmware. And the best way is to upload a new actual firmware, individual firmware for this car. It uploads automatically, and the system will restart one more time. It will take some seconds, usually about 20, and set up. Okay, Toyota Camry and a new one firmware. Here at engine blocking, now we are able to change settings. Engine blocking by CAN, factory setting, and block engine start in different modes. So what does it mean? How does it work? First, engine blocking by CAN. This is an option to stop running engine. When the engine is already running, system enables blocking mode, and if this option is enabled, system will stop the engine. For example, something like send a command to CAN bus to disable fuel injectors, for example. Don't forget to check when you are checking when the system blocks or not, does engine block or does not block the engine. At diagnostics, you can see blocking status. System will try to stop the engine only with active blocking. While blocking is not active, system does not try to stop the engine. Blocking. This option you can check at can.starline.ru. Right here it's stop running engine. This is the first string at engine blocking. Next, factory keyless access blocking. Enable or disable. At our side, it's here, keyless entry system lock. So how does it work? When you arm your factory, when you arm the system, next, StarLine will lose its tag. The driver will walk away, and StarLine will stop connection with a tag. StarLine will block keyless entry. So door handle sensors will not work. Factory maybe hands-free mode. Factory push to start button will be blocked, but buttons on the factory key will still work correct. Will continue working in regular mode. We block only keyless. It helps us to avoid retranslation of factory key. Also at diagnostics screen, at the diagnostics log, you will see the record that first, communication with tag is lost, and you can check it here, tag is visible. So tag becomes invisible. And next string is factory keyless entry is blocked. So first of all, when you are installing the system, don't forget to check the diagnostics log that StarLine tries to block the keyless entry. And after this string, you should check the keyless work. Don't forget to look here also when the tag appears. So when StarLine detects its tag, so the tag becomes visible, StarLine unblocks the keyless entry, so allows to use factory door handle sensors or factory hands-free mode. Here you can enable it or disable. Next interesting string is block engine starting by CAN. At our side, here it is, block engine start. So not to stop when the engine is already running, but block engine start. Don't allow engine to run. You can enable it to work in some modes. First of all, don't forget to check current operating mode at diagnostics screen. Here it is, state, security off, Maybe here you will see immobilizer mode if you use it, authorization mode if you use it, engine blocking, anti-hijack mode, service mode, programming mode. So all modes are displayed here. All the modes Dmitry described you a few minutes ago. We can block engine start when the system is armed, when the system is in authorization mode. Let's come back to general settings. Waiting for authorization. General settings. Let's check authorization setting. Factory setting is remote key or standard buttons. System goes to this authorization mode when first system is armed, next owner gives a command to unlock from factory key or using factory keyless. System goes to authorization and tries to find remote page, waits for pin code, tries to find a tag, and so on. And at this time, if you need engine to be blocked, enable right here waiting of authorization mode also. Next, when the system authorized its owner successfully, it goes to immobilizer mode. In immobilizer mode, by factory setting, your customer needs to enter factory pin code to pass immobilizer mode. Missed here. If you enable here, your customer will be not able to start the engine until he enters factory pin code. Don't forget that with the cars, for the cars with push to start button, it's not so comfortable to enable ignition first, next enter pin code, and next start the engine. So I recommend you, if you use immobilizer mode, not to enable this at push to start buttons, at the cars with push to start button. If you enable this, your customer will need to press without pedal push to start button, enable ignition, enter his pin code, and only after this start the engine. Otherwise, if you enable, he will be not able to start the engine because the engine will be blocked, while the system will be in immobilizer mode. Again, you can check it at diagnostics, state, and check current operating mode. Next, our new option, automatic transmission lock. For this car, it is not supported. And the list of cars with automatic block option, it's not so big for today, but we are working on increasing this list. How does it work? This option allows to lock the automatic transmission selector in parking position, or, for example, with some electronic selector, maybe around, or maybe at steering wheel column, some switches. In this case, in some cars, we will be able to switch from drive to neutral by CAN bus. Why do you need it? It's comfortable to use in immobilizer mode, for example. In this case, if you enable this option and if you use immobilizer mode, your customer will be not able to move without entering PIN code. This will help him not to forget to enter PIN code and not to stop after moving by movement detection. Also, this blocking will be active at alarm mode. So when the system triggers alarm, automatic transmission selector blocks also. Next string is safety speed for engine blocking. If we read speed signal from CAN bus, we can set a speed limit for engine blocking. So engine blocking will work only when the speed of the car is below this setting, so less than 30 kilometers per hour. You can set it even less or increase up to 100. Why do we need it? To make engine blocking safe. Not to block the engine when the car drives very fast, and to avoid some crash situation. Next option is for anti-hijack mode. For the anti-hijack, you can enable this, and engine will be blocked only after pressing brake pedal. Again, it's for safety and not to. It helps us to avoid some bad situations on the road and some crash and damage other cars and maybe even someone's health. In new firmware 2.19 and higher, we changed blocking in anti-hijack mode. If the system does not receive speed signal from CAN bus or from GPS satellites, it will activate engine blocking in anti-hijack mode only after 3 minutes. For 3 minutes, it will give sounds, will enable siren, give flashes, and so on. Will try to have some to make as much noise as possible. So for 3 minutes, it will just shout and do not block. It will block only after 3 minutes if we do not have speed signal from CAN bus or from satellites. Next section. Here we have 3 sections for engine blocking: number 1, number 2, and number 3. Number 1 also works with R6 relay. Why do we have 3? Because you can set different outputs as engine blocking number 1, engine blocking number 2, engine blocking number 2, and right here, engine blocking, for example, number 3. And you can use different circuits for these engine blockings and use different settings for them. First setting for each settings are the same. So we will discuss only one, I think, and all the rest are the same. First, engine blocking type: normally closed, normally open. This means that this is the logic of engine blocking. Do you need negative signal to block the engine, to stop the engine? This is normally closed. So StarLine gives negative, engine stops. If you need negative to unblock, if you need to negative signal to drive, this is normally opened logic. First, normally closed. You can set a delay for blocking, because maybe you need to stop the engine not together with triggering alarm, or for example, trigger alarm and give engine blocking with some delay. This delay, StarLine starts to count these 16 seconds from the moment of enabling engine blocking. Right here, blocking is enabled, engine status will be engine is blocked, blocking is enabled, and only at this moment StarLine will start to count these 16 seconds. Also, you can use, for example, this will this first engine blocking will work immediately. Second engine blocking will work after, for example, 5 seconds. This engine blocking helps to stop the engine, but some bad guy found this engine blocking, moved it past it, started the engine, and is ready to drive. But after 5 seconds, system enables second engine blocking. And for example, the third one will work after a minute. Also, you can use different time if this engine blocking, first engine blocking, for example, blocks ignition. Second, for example, blocks some fuel injectors or ignition coils, which may cause some DTC errors, trouble codes. To avoid this, first you connect just ignition blocking. Next, block the engine only by movement. If you enable this, system will block the engine only after movement detecting. So some bad guy starts the engine, blocking is not active. This engine blocking number 1 will not be active. It will still allow engine to work. But after movement detection, it will stop the engine. And in this case, you can use some other engine blocking types if you need it. Blocking duration, also new option. You can set how long this negative output will be active. For example, if you need only 2 seconds blocking and engine stops in these 2 seconds, you can unblock it again and give an opportunity to start the engine. Engine starts, new movement, and StarLine again activates this output for 2 seconds. If you use normally opened, you cannot enable this option now, but you can choose when to unblock this engine blocking. Factory setting is by disarming. Your customer disarms the system, engine blocking is disabled. Second option is to unblock only by ignition. He disarms, engine is still blocked. Customer enables ignition, and only at this moment system unblocks this engine blocking. So next, engine blocking number 2 and engine blocking number 3 are the same settings for different wires. Last one, we have status output. Also the same settings for 3 different outputs. We can set status output number 1, status output number 2, and status output number 3. What is status output? Status output is active wire in the condition which you set. For example, if you need to block the engine just without a tag, not depending on arm, disarm, immobilize, or some other functions. If you want just a tag is closed, engine can run. No tag, engine cannot run without arming or disarming or anything more. In this case, you should use status output. By factory setting, this wire is active with a tag and passive without a tag. This means wire is negative, connected to the ground, when the tag is close to the car, and this wire is not active when there is no tag. If you need, again, you can rotate this algorithm, output inversion. if you enable this, wire will be passive with a tag and active without a tag. So no tag, you have negative signal. With a tag, no signal. In this case, if you use engine blocking like this, don't forget to give an opportunity to a customer to use emergency deactivation code. Because if you leave settings like this, just active with a tag and passive with no tag, this wire will depend only on a tag. And even if your customer disarms the system with emergency pin code, even in this case, without a tag, wire will be inactive, not active. To avoid this, you can enable this setting, and this wire will be active not only with a tag, but also when the system is disarmed. Next, you can enable it in valid mode, in service mode, valid mode, if you need it. In this case, wire will be active for the whole period of valid mode, even without a tag. And registration mode and ignition when disarmed, if you need these options. So very important to think how your customer will drive if he lost his tag, if he has discharged battery in the tag, or maybe damaged his tag. So how will he drive? Status output number 2 has the same, and number 3 has the same options. Dima, please come back to us, and maybe we have some questions before switching to our examples.
Well, thank you, Dmitry. Actually, I can see we don't have questions regarding the present topic. Just some conversation about some issues related to particular vehicles which are available in United Kingdom. For example, with the Ford Tourneo Custom. I just want to remind to our colleagues, to our partners, that when we meet some troubles you describe, we need two main options, two main opportunities to help you. First one is to get the most detailed description of the situation with just step by step, even with time. And also we need to have a settings file, the log file. If we do not have this information, it's mostly impossible for us to help you and to find the reason. And the next opportunity, even the most complicated. If we find a trouble, we need to have an access to a car and to make additional testing. Especially when we don't have this version at our basic markets or at the places where we have can developing opportunities. That is why we were talking about our necessity, our hard need of additional specialist who is experienced and so named CAN sniffing and CAN programming, who has a deep knowledge of car electronics. So we invite the specialists to join our CAN testing team. Only together we can solve these issues which you meet, which you see while you work, while your projects. Well, Dima, I think now we can turn to our next stage of today's lesson. Please be noted that when I tell about CAN sniffing, it's not a kind of that just simple CAN testing. You might have an experience in it. It's not just a recording of simple statuses like door, like ignition, and so on. Actually, we have quite a complicated program of CAN testing with several steps: initial testing, creating of software, the next step of additional testing, and so on. And usually it may take several days and even several weeks if we tell about some complicated options like I-key keyless bypass or this particular ICANN digital engine locked. So please do not think that it's so easy that you think when you tried some CAN sniffing about car media and the very simple functions. It's not the same case. So if some of you is able to join this hard work, so please welcome, and we shall continue this conversation in details. So well, Dima, let's go on.
Okay, thank you, Dima. And I can see here a good question from Tony. Tony, thank you for this question. And I will come back to settings of status output. Here, Tony, we have, as you described, if I understood you correctly, activation of the persistence of attack. So how status output will work: active with attack, passive when passive without attack. And we can invert right here. Yes, we can rotate it. But for example, if you use if you need this wire to be active, a moment please. If you use negative output, status output number 2, for example, to block, to activate a blocking relay. So you need a negative signal on the wire to block, to stop the engine. This means you need a negative output when there is no tag. So no tag, wire is negative, blocking is enabled. In this case, you should set passive with a tag and active without a tag. Yes, correct. But don't forget, if we come back to emergency deactivation, and if you enable when disarming, so the customer will be able to drive only with the system armed or something like this. So it will work wrong. In this case, if you use these options, invalid mode, disarming, and so on, you should enable when this wire must be active and active with a tag, and just rotate whole these settings. So it works like this. That is why we need additional this option. And if you don't use these options and just tag set pre-existence, yes, you can use this or this pop-up menu. Hope I understood you correctly, and hope you have an answer. Okay, next. Next, we have some blocking samples. Let's call it like this. Some examples. This picture, I hope you all know this picture very well and looked at it a lot. Right here, we have a cut-off starter circuit. These 3 wires are 2 internal relays. We activate, if we activate black and yellow wire from XS2 from the main unit, we connect between each other black with yellow and brown wire. If we activate orange wire from the main unit, we disconnect orange wire from black with yellow. Why do we need this cut on starter wire? This helps us to avoid enabling of starter with running engine. Your customer gave a command for remote start, comes to his car, disarms, sits in the car, inserts the key to ignition lock, rotates it, and he can accidentally enable starter. And starter will be active when the engine is running, and it can have some damage. In this case, we cut this wire, and he can rotate his key as he want, and starter will be not active. But this cut in factory settings is active only for the time of remote start, of remote engine start. Let me show you how to add this to engine blocking algorithm. So if you connect everything, if you connect everything like in the picture, like in our schema diagram, I will come back to screen. Yes, my screen. Channels and CAN. Here we have this orange wire. Factory setting, starter protection. In new firmware, we changed its name to starter protection. Not to starter blocking, but starter protection. It works still the same, just we changed the name. So as you can see, it's factory setting, and nothing is changed. We go to the flexible logic, add program, specify a name, for example, blocking. Don't forget to enable. Event, state of security complex, operation mode, excuse me, not operation mode, but engine blocking. State of security complex, engine blocking on. This means, so if engine blocking is on without conditions, as an action, StarLine will activate flexible analog output, this our starter protection wire, enable on, and abort add, state of security complex, engine blocking, disable. Done. So this small program will work like this. Don't forget, at diagnostics, blocking, and engine state, blocking. When the engine state goes to blocking, so if engine blocking is on, StarLine will activate output 215. It's 215 starter protection. Starter protection, and this wire will be active. So this starter cut will be active until engine blocking will disable. So, for example, your customer will use emergency pin code or just disarm the system. So when engine blocking will disable, starter protection will be disabled also. In this case, just one program will help you to add additional function to this orange wire. Next, disable my screen and come back to our examples. Next example is for push to start button. This diagram, let's call it like diagram. Black wire is factory wire. Most cars with push to start system, in these cars, button works like just a regular button. It connects between each other two wires. So you press, circuit is closed. You release a button, circuit is opened. On the most cars, this button is negative. So it has some wire for the ground and 1 or 2 outputs to the car ECU. Usually it's something like certification unit or maybe keyless unit. We can have 2 engine blocking right here. First engine blocking. With pink wire, we can cut ground from this button and give ground only when we need this button to work. If we cut ground, pressing button will be have no any effect to the car. Car units will not receive any signal from start-stop button, push to start button, because button has no ground. In this case, we will change settings for our pink wire and set this wire, let's call it like something like permission of push to start button to work. Also, next, safe type of engine blocking with push to start button is to how your customer stops the engine. He just gives an impulse to push to start button. So we can also give this impulse and stop the engine. Let's go to the settings. So green wire we will set to give an impulse to push to start button. Green wire from the first connector. And pink wire will be a permission for push to start button to work. Let's go to my screen. Okay, I will delete this. Pink wire we will set as status output number 1. It doesn't matter this wise. So pink wire will be status output, and green wire will be function not assigned. We don't need any factory logic on this wire, and we will call it something like push to start button. This name is for us, not to forget which wire, not to forget which wire we connected. First, pink wire, status output number 1, permission for button to work. We need this button to be active with a tag and not active without a tag. But this button should work when the system is disarmed. So maybe a customer disarmed it by pin code or by mobile application. Button should work. Also, if we switch wallet mode, if our customer gives a car to workshop for some maintenance, changing oil, something like this, button should work even without a tag. And in device registration mode, button also should work. We need it because maybe our customer will want to pair some tags or smartphones, register some device. So we need to work with a tag. We need to work when disarmed, in valid mode and in registration mode. Status output number 1. Let's go to status output number 1 settings. This wire should be negative when the tag is here, is detected. So active with a tag. Yes, it fits us well. It should be active when disarmed, active in registration mode, and active in valid mode. So this setting will allow using pink wire will have a permission for push to start button to work. Next, green wire, we will use flexible logic. Let's call it something like PTS stop, enable it, and state of security complex, engine blocking on. When system tries to block the engine, we will add a condition for this blocking work only state car engine is running. we do not need to press the button if engine is not running. So we need this impulse only when engine is running. And flexible analog outputs, our PTS, give impulse. We will give a short impulse. Usually it's 800 milliseconds. It's 0.8 seconds. And let's give a delay, for example, for 2 seconds. Done. This is an easy option. And you can, it's rather simple engine blocking. If engine blocking is on, again at diagnostics, you check engine blocking, engine is blocked. System enables engine blocking with engine is when engine is running, only with running engine. If engine is not running, this this program will not work and will not give an impulse to push to start button. Engine is running, and green wire, which is connected to PTS signal wire, will give after 2 seconds, will give 0.8 second negative impulse. Done. So that's all. That's rather easy, and this is safe engine blocking because you use all factory algorithms of the car. By using status output, you can block engine running, and by flexible logic, you can stop running engine. And these engine blocking methods, on most of cars, will not cause any trouble codes. Next, disable screen and come back to number 3, our example. This is a bit harder, maybe. This is lean bus from Kia and Hyundai cars. Lean bus is immobilizer bus. For example, Hyundai, Kia, Subaru, even Toyota, you can use IMA data wires, IMA data, and you can cut it. If you cut this wire, immobilizer unit will be not able to give a permission to engine ECU to start. This engine blocking type will help you only to block engine start. This engine blocking will not stop the running engine. Here you can see that we use regular relay. We will cut this lean digital bus by pins number 30 and 87A. So we will need wire from StarLine active to block the engine. And pin number 85 black we will connect to negative output from StarLine, and pin number 86 we will connect somewhere to positive 12 volts. In this case, if StarLine will give negative signal on green wire, it will come to pin number 85 and activate a relay, and relay will cut data lean wire. Let's come back to my screen. First, where can you check connection? Let's go to can.starline.ru. Let's check some, which is closer, Hyundai. Hyundai, for example, Tucson. Connection points, lean A, B. Here you can find this lean bus wire. This lean bus wire you can cut, as I showed you at our diagram. So what will we need to set? We will set green wire. It will be not PTS, it will be lean cut. StarLine needs to activate this wire to block engine start. Flexible logic, remove this program, add a new one. Line cut. When we will cut this wire? First of all, when the state of security complex engine blocking is on. And let's add another event. For example, state car door open. Or let's use state car ignition on. Each of these events will start this run. Each of these events will run this program, execute this program. Let's add a condition: state of security complex, operation mode armed, or alarm, and flexible analog output green wire line cut on. And we should disable it, unblock, only, for example, when the system, only when, state of security complex, operation mode, disarming, or state car ignition disable. So you can use like this engine blocking. Dima, I finished with my examples. Maybe we have some more questions.
Yes, Dima, thank you. Yes, we have some questions regarding your samples of engine blocking. Sergey Yashchenko is asking, actually, he reminds us about default setting for orange wire of XS2, which makes possible default algorithm of engine blocking with a starter interruption, with no need and use a flexible logic program. So we may assign an orange wire as engine blocking, right?
We can set it like engine blocking, but in this case, this wire will not work for the time of engine start. It will not help us to avoid starter damage as factory logic of this wire. That is why we need flexible logic, to have both logics on this wire, to have starter protection and also engine blocking.
Okay, guys. So keep this in mind. So if you need your starter be secured, protected of incorrect starting, so please use this sample of engine of flexible programmer logic. Well, Zoran is asking. In fact, he already asked answered his own question about the difference between algorithms of engine blocking, first, second, third, and status outputs, first, second, and third. So, which is the main difference between these settings?
Settings between blocking output and status output.
Yes, right. Between engine blocking settings and status settings.
Yes, okay. Engine blocking wire works when engine blocking is active. So when at diagnostics screen, you can see engine blocking, engine status is engine blocked. At this time, engine blocking wire works. Status output works depending on tag resistance, not on engine blocking status. Something like this. They work at different time.
Yes. So engine blocking settings depend on operation mode, engine blocking. Yes. The status at output depends on the state of the tag. Is it available or out of range? Just remember that. Well, some questions is about a sample of engine lock with use of a push to start button. A couple of questions regarding is it possible to be used as a hijacking protection, as an anti-hijacking
It depends
protection?
on a car. Some cars need to hold this button for 2 minutes to stop the engine when drive. It depends on a particular car. You can check by itself. You can drive, choose a safe place, drive, and try to press a button to hold this button on this car, and you will understand the algorithm for it to work.
Well, mainly it depends on the car, and our colleagues from Estonia also described that push to start button cannot stop engine when drive. So mainly it depends on vehicles. So check the particular operating on the model you are working with. Heolan is asking, will this lean bus wire cut blocking cause engine error codes, trouble codes?
It may cause history error, history trouble code, something like key is not found. But usually it is not displayed on the dashboard. On Kia and Hyundai, it is not displayed on the dashboard. On Toyota cars, it is not displayed on the dashboard. On Subaru, it is not displayed on the dashboard.
Yes, actually, for the Korean vehicles, Kia, Hyundai, for the most of the latest models, you will find that in fact, we perform this digital engine blocking with the interruption of this lean bus. Actually, it's not some specific digital command, it's just an interruption of a lean bus. Tony is asking why are the blocking features like motion etc not available on S-series systems that are on i96. Not available on S.
i96 does not have flexible logic, and S96 has it. So on S96, you can set all logic you need for engine blocking. If you need motion with delay, with you need movement after disarming or something like this, you can use flexible logic for it.
I think Tony means something opposite. He thinks like that i96 has more options for anti-hijack protection than S-series. I think we need some additional details. What does he mean?
In fact, using flexible logic, you can create your own anti-hijack algorithm. You can check movement. You can check door open. You can check tag lost, count some time, give some beeps, give engine blocking, or what do you prefer? You can make your own anti-hijack mode.
Yes, maybe Tony is meaning some specific settings of ICANN digital engine blocking activation, which is available for i96. But yes, Dima is right. It depends on your settings and the programs you use.
And more CAN bus blocking, you can write us which settings you don't have, but you need it on S series. We will forward this information to our developers, and maybe we will create these settings also in S series. And don't forget, i96 is immobilizer, is for anti-hijack, it's its function, and S96 is a security complex.
Yes, and remember that I96 immobilizer has additional CAN bus wires, a pair of wires for CAN bus protection, for interruption of CAN bus in, for example, OBD connector. So it makes impossible or very hard to connect any CAN bus analyzer, to find the troubles, to emulate some logic, or to register additional keys and so on. So make use of these additional wires to protect OBD connector. Well, so colleagues, do you have any additional questions regarding this today topic? Please post your questions, or type 0 if you have no questions regarding this topic. Okay, no questions. So we're gonna finish today this lesson, and welcome to the next meeting, which is planned on Wednesday, 22nd April. The same time, 8 o'clock Moscow, 7 p.m. European time, and 6 p.m. Great Britain. Thank you all of you for joining us today. Actually, we are very glad to see you all here and joining our lessons, and you will be notified in advance about our next meeting, about the topic. I think it will be flexible logic, right? Dima, what do you think?
Yes, I think it will be a rather big topic, flexible logic.
Yes, it's one of the most important, one of the most interesting topic, which extends the functionality of our system mostly unlimited. So let's talk about it next time. And thank you all, guys, and see you next time. And I want to say
Thank you all for
goodbye.
coming. Goodbye.